Hello and welcome to Scrapping on the Fly. My name is Kristen and I'm back with another episode, series, video for my Courageously Crafting Scrapbooking Through the Hard Stuff series. And today I'm going to share with you what I'm going to be using and then we'll get into what I'm documenting. So this is my Die Cuts with a View watercolor paper pad I got it Tuesday morning. And then I have some other odds and ends that I'm using because I'm trying to use up stash instead of collections right now. I'm using both, but I would love to drop in stuff. Use up some of the things in my stash. So I've got some stuff from Fancy Pants, the Million June ephemera pack. I have this My Mind's Eye Yes Please by Jen Allison. I have some Prima tickets as well as this plethora of things right here that I've already pulled off or out of a pack. I would love to use this collection. I will just say I did not use it, did not match once I pulled the papers. So I will find another layout to put those on or another home for them. But I have these from the These Day collection. It's the only thing from like a collection that I've had, but this is really the majority of what I have left are these little bits and pieces of ephemera. And I have a couple word phrases down there on my on this sheet. So this is from like the dollar store. I've got that Crafter Square. Some of this is from Paper Studio. Some of it is Jolie's Boutique. Some might be recollections, but I'm pretty sure the majority of that is from either Hobby Lobby or the dollar store. And then those word phrases, like I said, are from the These Days collection. This right here, this is totally stickers, and it is from 2001. Okay, my kid was born in 2001 and she's gonna be able to drink this year. Now, spoiler alert, this flare did not make it on my layout. It is going on my layout and it'll be there for pictures on Instagram and Facebook, but I set it over to the side and I got put underneath a pile of things. So it is going to go on my layout. It just didn't make it on there through the video. Here are my two pictures. It's my grandmother and my cousin, and then that other little picture, spoiler alert, does not make it on the layout. So I've got all this stash and these pictures, so let's see how this goes. So here are the papers that I've pulled out. Now the back of this pink paper is a wild and crazy pineapple paper, and it's very pretty, lots of lovely colors. This paper pad has lots of really pretty colors. I don't have a whole lot of need for pineapples. I know it doesn't have to be themey, but it's real pretty colors though. And then I have this floral, and that's what my plan is to mat this floral on that pink zigzag lined paper. And then I'm going to use the top of this flamingo paper, this really pretty teal stripe, as my background paper for my mat, for my picture. So I get those down. It took me a minute to get this figured out and thought with, but to get it even. I get that down. I feel like it is way too busy. I'm not going to enjoy all of the bits and pieces that I have pulled out to use on this layout because this is so busy. And so first things first, I decided to mat my picture on that teal-y aqua color and then on a black floral. And it's that black floral right there. It's got pears in it. So the only way I would use it is if I could cover the pears with the picture so it wouldn't show, because I don't want pears on this layout. So let's talk about this picture, because right now all I'm going to be doing is matting this picture and determining what I want to do, embellishing the layout and everything. More importantly, this picture is my grandmother and my cousin. They are on a plane. My cousin has just flown in from Texas and is taking my grandma back with her. Now, this is hard for me, mainly because, see, that doesn't match that layout. Mainly because my grandmother is 92 in this picture. She had had a very bad year. She had, at Christmas the year before, she could barely get out of her house. I don't think she did get out of her house. I think we had to go to her instead of, she always came to my mom and dad's. She was miserable. I think she was ready to move on in this world and be reunited with my grandpa. It was horrible for me. She had to move because the home she lived in was a rental. They had lived there since the 90s when my grandpa and her rented it. And this is 2017. And I was devastated. When she originally said she had to move, I was really sad and upset. I was mad at the family for doing that, which, I know it's not their fault now. They had very good reason for it. But at the time, I was being very selfish and very upset because I've never not been with my grandparents, either set of them. We have a very tight family, and I've always lived in the same general vicinity, honestly. Within 5 miles, I would assume, and sometimes right around the corner to where I could walk over to my grandma's townhouse. So I was I was really close to her and my grandpa, and of course my other set of grandparents too. But at this time in my life, my grandmother was really, well, was the only one I had left. And it was devastating when she told me she thought she'd moved to Texas. I thought she was kidding. And when my mom confirmed that that was true, because my dad was having a really bad year, he was down in his back. My mom was having to take care of him. And so my grandma knew that she couldn't move in with my parents because A, their home was not equipped for her. Lots of stairs, lots of carpeting, not narrow halls, but because she uses a walker, it was not necessarily the best fit. And my mom was already having a hard enough time taking care of my dad, who had been struggling all year. So my grandma decided she would move in with my aunt, who lived in Texas. And we live in Kentucky. I've never been to Texas in my entire life. And because my grandmother was so old and frail and had really been knocking on death's door, I felt like when she left that day, I would never see her again. And I know that might sound morbid. People shouldn't think that way. I mean, you should always live your life like it's your last day on earth, because then you're going to treat people better. You're going to do the things that you may not have done, those kinds of things. But I was heartbroken. I was devastated. I could barely keep it together. I had to 100% focus on the task at hand. I was put in charge. I worked in the school system, so I was off for the summer. I was put in charge of selling the items from her home. And because she was moving in with my aunt, who had pretty much everything she needed, she just took some, her things and left like all her furniture and tons of other things, knickknacks, things she had acquired over 92 years. And man, was she a pack rat. So that was my job. I was in charge of logging everything, getting it on the marketplace, getting things priced for a garage sale, all of that. We were having a garage sale like a week or something after she moved. So, or 2 weeks maybe. So that was the deal. I was going to just go head first into that so that I didn't have to think about it, because I was just devastated. So this is the day that my cousin came to get her. Now, that little picture that I was going to put on there was my sister and my cousin loading her bags into my mom's car for us to take her to the airport. By the way, I did not go to the airport. I knew that I would never make it. As soon as she walked out the door, I literally turned and called the guy who was buying her washer and dryer to come. Like, I had to instantly put myself right into that mode, because I was broken. And I know that may sound over the top. I am a little dramatic. I'm extremely sensitive. I'm a very emotional person. Always have been. But I was just really broken. So I just went full force into getting situated for the yard sale. Now, there are some pictures of the yard sale. I'm not documenting really any of those. I do have one picture of me sitting in this broken, I think it was a chair that we were throwing out or something, that ended up on the curb. And I think I have a picture of me sitting in it at the end of the garage sale weekend, just like drained and exhausted. It was a lot. But anyway, so this picture is my cousin and my grandma on the plane. And then I have another picture of her once she got there, and I will be documenting that. And she's got this big smile on her face. She's so happy. And it was so good for my cousin and my aunt. They had not lived in the same state since the 70s, because my aunt, when she got married, they ended up moving to Florida and then other places. And, so it was really, really good for her. And not that we had any clue, but she moved June the 10th of 2017 and lived with my aunt and uncle. And in March of 2018 is when my aunt was killed by a drunk driver. And so my grandma got that 10 months with her daughter that she never would have had she not moved there. So I know things happen for a reason. I'm a firm believer of that. I also am a firm believer you don't always know what those reasons are in the beginning. So her being a part of my aunt's life and my aunt being able to give my grandmother a new lease on life, honestly, because she got her out, got her going places, got her off a ton of medication, and had found her a new doctor that was really good for her. I mean, it was a really positive experience. Was I still brokenhearted? Yep. Did I have a hard time calling her without breaking down on the phone? Certainly. I did. Not as much as I wanted or should have, believe me. I usually called her at least once or so a week to talk to her. And send her, like, she was on Facebook at the time. My aunt would read her Facebook posts to her and stuff. So I would tag her in pictures and things like that. But, and we got to go see her that July. We got to go see her again in December for Christmas. And then, unfortunately, the next time we saw her was at my aunt's funeral and my dad's. But I mean, I got to see her quite a few times after that. She lived, almost 2 years after both of her kids died. So that's pretty darn impressive. She was 95 on the 9th of March, 2020, and died at 6 o'clock in the morning on March the 10th, with us there with her. So, we had almost 3 full years after she moved. So, I was just certain that I'd never see her again. And I saw her multiple times, not always on good occasions, but I saw her multiple times. And, it's so hard to think that way. I mean, it's easier to be downtrodden and upset, but I was, this picture, this time was rough. Because like I said, I had no clue when I'd see her again. It was really rough on me and our whole family, honestly. I know it was hard on her. She lived in Kentucky since 1960 when she moved here from Detroit. But I feel like the reason that it made it easier to scrapbook this, first of all, I'm using all these beautiful bright colors, which my grandma would totally love. Pink was her favorite. She loves flowers. She loves shiny things, so I got some gold going on. And the other thing is about documenting, the hard stuff. I didn't do a series episode in October. When I did the 5-week one in July, I decided I was going to do one once a month after that. So I did one in August, and then I did one in September, and I was going to do one in October. But honestly, all of October was pretty much scrapbooking the hard stuff. I'm documenting 2018, or was at the time. I have only 3 or 4 more layouts to finish that year. And 2018, like I said, is the year my dad died, my aunt died. My daughter had a lot of mental health issues even before my dad died. I mean, there was a lot of hard times and loss in 2018. So honestly, the entire month of October was a lot of grief and a lot of pain. If you watch my 30 Days of Sketches videos, and I did one every day, a lot of those, I mention the loss, because a lot of the pictures from that year things were around that, like our first Christmas without my dad, we were, and my aunt, of course, but, my dad was always here. My aunt lived in another state, so we didn't see her as often, but, that first year without him was hard. So documenting Christmas pictures from 2018 was painful, and, scattering his ashes in Canada, which was the layout I did back in September, was hard. I documented in October for 30 Days of Sketches. On the 5th, I documented the ghost bike that they put up in honor and memory and in, hopefully awareness of my aunt being killed by a drunk driver on her bicycle. They put up a ghost bike in Texas, and I have a picture of that, and I documented that with the Lisa Sikorsky sketch on the 5th. And one day I documented my daughter's mental health, and one day I documented my dad's funeral, my brother-in-law and my nephew sitting there in their dress-up clothes. It was special, pictures, and those are hard. They're really hard. So this past month has been an emotional roller coaster for me. So I think that's why I didn't do one of these series, because every day I was looking at grief and feeling that grief, and it's hard. It really is. But I'm, like I said, 4 layouts away from finishing that year, and then I'll be able to look back at it, from front to back, and feel those feelings again, and be able to smile at some of the pictures, because some of them are fun. I mean, we did have some good times that year and some silly times and things like that. So I'll be able to relive some of the positive moments and grieve some of the sad ones, but it'll be done. It's done now. It'll, in another day or two, it'll be completely done. It'll be in the book, and I'll be able to not put it behind me, because it's a part of my life. Losing people in your life or dealing with things in your life is part of, your story. So it's going to continue to be a part of my life. But I can move on and document things that aren't as hard, or, the things that bring me more joy than the sad stuff. And so now I can go over to my mom's. I'm using the Brutus Monroe Chroma Mist Ornament Gold. Now I can go to my mom's. I can take the 2018 book, it'll be 2 books, with me, and I will leave them there for her. And when she's ready, she will look through them, and she will process, because when she's ready, she could do that. And that's going to be okay, because, she's got to grieve when, she's been grieving for, 4 years. That was her soulmate for her whole life practically. So, but anyway, it feels good to have gotten that done, and it feels good to get this layout done. There will be some sad stuff in 17, but for the most part, 2017 was a pretty decent year. Like I said, we got to go to Texas for the first time and visit. So anyway, here's my layout. I hope that you all are encouraged to at least consider starting the process of documenting the hard stuff, even if it's just journaling, or a small little book, or like a traveler's notebook or something like that. You don't have to do big 12 by 12 layouts like this, but I would love, love, love to hear your stories. And I hope that you'll come back. I'll do another one in December, but the rest of this month will be hopefully some good, happy moments. So I hope that I see you again soon. Have a great night and happy scrapping.